I know, a lot of you guys are gonna hate me for saying this, but the Foam Runner was the shoe of 2020 in my opinion. Just my opinion, and a couple other people's opinions, but this shoe is dope. And as wild and as crazy as the original Ararat colorway looks, it seems like Kanye is kind of turning up the heat on the crazy with a brand new pair called the MXT Moon colorway. And you know what, I'm just gonna say it, this is one of the most exciting Yeezy colorways to drop in years because it's nuts. I mean, this shoe is nuts. What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and today I'm reviewing the upcoming Adidas Yeezy Foam Runner in the MXT Moon Gray colorway. You know what, I know a lot of you guys are already probably thinking to yourself, he's gonna love this shoe. And you're right, I love it, it's awesome. Oh man, it's so light. So easy to spin. That's nice. But before we actually dive into the review, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell down below if you like to watch early reviews of Yeezys or other sneakers. And while you're at it, also make sure to give me a follow on Instagram and on Twitter at @RealSethFowler because I usually post early pics over there as well. But in today's review, we are covering the follow-up to one of the most polarizing shoes of 2020. And in a lot of ways, it's even more polarizing and it looks just that much crazier. The Adidas Yeezy Foam Runner in the MXT Moon colorway drops on March 26th alongside another colorway, the Sand colorway, which is almost identical to the Ararat colorway, for a retail price of just $80, which seems insane for a brand new pair of Yeezys, and to be fair, the resale price is much higher than that, but I mean, that's not a bad price if you've never bought a pair of these before and you can grab a pair for retail. So I grabbed my pair off GOAT and got instant ship, so that's why I was able to have this shoe so early. But if you guys would also like to grab a pair off GOAT or check the insane amount of money that I paid for my pair, make sure to click that affiliate link in the description below. I mean, I know I talk about how much I love the Foam Runners like in almost every video, but this shoe isn't worth it for $500 to $600. If you're gonna grab a pair of these, wait till they become more available. It's just not worth that price. That said though, if you haven't tried on a pair of Foam Runners yet, I really think you're missing out. And I know you might not love the aesthetic, and I know to you it might be just a hyped up croc, which in a lot of ways it is, but it's one of those shoes that I really think is gonna change the future of footwear. It's one of the most comfortable, one of the most durable, and one of the most wild looking shoes I've ever reviewed. However, before we actually dive into the review itself, I wanna take a quick look at the box because Adidas and Yeezy do something a little bit different on the Foam Runner boxes. So this is it. This is the standard Adidas Yeezy Foam Runner box, and from the outside it looks unbelievably plain. Like the only thing you have is a little size tag right here that says the size of the shoe but doesn't even say the name of the shoe, just has a barcode. If you're wondering what that little barcode is down there, that's because I bought it off GOAT, and I think anything you buy off GOAT comes with that barcode. But when you actually open up the box itself, you'll notice that the top of the box actually has foam printed inside of it. And what's interesting about that is that when you take out the two pieces of paper that come inside the box, it looks like they actually inverted the entire box. Just beneath the foam printing, you've also got Runner printed, and then on the bottom of the box, you've actually got the size tag and the standard Yeezy Foam Runner made by Adidas printing. Now I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm not sure exactly why they did this. I don't remember if they do this on the slides box. I don't think that they do. But getting to the size tag of the shoe, obviously I grabbed a size 8 because unfortunately that was the only size available. We will get to sizing later on in the video. My standard pair is a size 9 and I would suggest going with your true size, but again, we'll get to that later on in the video. The official colorway of this shoe is MX Moger, MX Moger, MX Moger, which I'm assuming means MXT Moon Gray repeated 3 times. But that's pretty much it for the box itself. It's also a lot thinner than standard Yeezy boxes because obviously the shoes are actually, they're not even smaller. They're just kind of more compressible, I guess, than standard. That's not even the case either. I don't know. I guess it's because they're kind of like slides. I don't know why they packaged them this way. That's just how they did it. Who knows? Oh, and actually one more thing. If you look at the left shoe when you first pull it out of the box, it comes with a hang tag, which is attached with this like recyclable twine, which Adidas seems to be using a lot, which is actually kind of a nice touch. So usually in these reviews, I start off around the toe of the sneaker and I talk about the materials moving back on the shoe, but in this case, the entire shoe is made up of the same exact material. But what's interesting about the foam that makes up the shoe is that apparently this foam is a mix between standard EVA foam and algae. I've always been into sustainability when it comes to design and new products, so when a new shoe comes along that uses renewable materials like algae, it's so interesting to me. And the fact that this shoe actually stays together and is a real thing that you can wear even though it's made of algae or algae byproducts is really incredible. So when I first saw images of this shoe or just the Foam Runner in general, I didn't know how the foam was going to feel. I assumed that it would feel like a pair of Crocs or a pair of EVA midsoles. And to be fair, from like a squish perspective, if that's a word, it does kind of feel like that. It's definitely soft and it's definitely flexible, but it doesn't have as much give as something like Boost. But when you actually step in the shoe, everything changes, because underfoot, this shoe is incredibly soft. And not only that, your entire foot is surrounded by the same foam, so you're getting that same sort of cushion and comfort all the way around your foot. And that actually brings me to another part of the design that I'm just totally in love with, and that's these punch outs that you find throughout the entire upper of the shoe. Now, at first glance, these punch outs might just seem purely aesthetic, but when you can actually touch the shoe and hold it and sort of squeeze it, you'll notice that the punch outs are in very specific and strategic places. These punch outs provide a lot of structure and rigidity, but also allow the shoe to flex in places that it needs to flex. It's incredible. Not only that, but the thickness of the foam also changes depending on which part of the shoe that you're looking at. The foam is actually the thinnest towards the midfoot of the shoe, but as you get to the toe or the heel or even underfoot, it gets so much thicker. It genuinely amazes me how much they can do with one material in a one-piece construction. Like, so much is going on in this shoe, but it's all made up of one material and it's molded in one piece at one time. The amount of time that went into the CAD modeling of this shoe and just the number of prototypes that they did must have been insane. So I've actually had a pair of the Ararat colorway, the original colorway, since it first released, and I've got to say, I've worn this shoe on all types of surfaces, like grass and concrete and asphalt and even sand, and you'd think that asphalt and concrete would really wear down the tread of this shoe, and to be fair, it has a little bit, but for the amount of time that I spend in this shoe on hard surfaces, the tread is still almost entirely intact. Not only that, but this shoe is so banged up. Like, I've driven in it for days and sort of slammed it against the side of the car. I don't drive very well. I've slammed it against the accelerator, I'm not gonna lie, a couple times. I've slammed it into stairs, into walls, I've dropped things on it, and somehow it still feels exactly like how it felt initially, and there's no tears and there's no cuts or scuffs or anything like that on the upper. It's truly amazing. So not only is the foam that they use on this shoe incredibly comfortable underfoot and around your foot, it's also extremely durable. Now, I can't tell if I'm just imagining this or if this is actually something, but I've worn this shoe a bunch and I've barely worn this shoe, or at least this pair, and this shoe does feel a little bit softer, and that could be because it's been through so much, which wouldn't surprise me at all either, but it doesn't feel that much softer. Like, this still feels pretty much exactly the same, and this shoe is brand new. Actually, I did a video like a month after I got the first pair talking about my experience in the shoe, so if you guys would like to see that video and really what happened after wearing the shoe pretty much straight for a couple weeks, make sure to click the link at the top of the screen. And because this MXT Moon Gray colorway is almost the exact same shoe, I would assume that it's going to perform the exact same way that the original colorway did. Well, wait, so the new foam runners are actually made in China. The MXT Moon Gray colorway, it says foam runner made in China. Now, I'm pretty sure the Ararat colorway, hold on. Yeah, the Ararat colorway says foam runner made in the USA. So the original foam runner colorway was made in the US, and this new MXT Moon Gray colorway is made in China. However, they do still feel the same. Now, I'm wondering, because the shoe wasn't made in the US, is it still using that algae foam that they used on the original colorway? Because this original colorway was made in Wyoming, where they farm the algae. Now, it's not out of the question for them to transport this algae material to China to have it produced, but it is much more unlikely, unless they have an algae farm in China. Well, I guess there's really no way to know the answer to that, because they didn't really even tell us anything about this shoe, so that's interesting. I wonder if the sand colorway is made in the US and it's just a lot more limited, because I'm pretty sure that's the reason this shoe is so limited, because it was made in the US, and that's the reason this shoe should end up being more widely available, because they were able to produce larger quantities in China. I've got to say, it still feels the same. It's still hopefully the same material that the original pair was, but I don't know. I didn't expect that. But now that we've talked about the foam and the actual function and durability and comfort of the shoe, let's talk about the aesthetic, which is definitely by far the most polarizing part of the sneaker. So there is no denying the fact that this shoe looks insane. Like, this literally looks like an alien foot. And it becomes even more insane looking when you add this marbled MXT Moon Gray colorway. So obviously, because this shoe is made up of injected foam, or what I would assume is injected foam, because you've got an injection point right there in the toe, there's just no way to make the pattern exactly the same from shoe to shoe. And I've got to be honest, I've seen a bunch of different colorways of these. I went into round 2 a couple days ago, and they had a couple pairs, and I honestly feel like the pair that I got has one of the best mixes of grays and tans that I've seen. When you buy a shoe or product that has tie-dye, or maybe an element of the design that is always different for each side of the pair or each product, you never really know how it's gonna look. And I've seen a lot of these pairs where the mixing of the colors just didn't work out that well. On this particular pair, there's a lot of marbling going on, and I just I love that about it. But hey, that's just a personal preference. Maybe you love the more split design look. It's up to you. It's not really something that you can control. So if you buy a pair of shoes, whether you buy them on StockX or through Adidas' website or through YEEZY Supply, you're not gonna know exactly what you're gonna get until you actually have it in hand. Really, the only way to control what kind of design you're gonna get is buying it in person at like a sneaker convention where you have a lot of different options. All that said though, I think I'd be happy with pretty much any colorway of this shoe because the main appeal for me is how nuts this sneaker looks. Also, obviously, the ventilation on this shoe is incredible. Not only because it's like a foam slip-on, but also because it's got all these little different punch outs and holes that really vary in sizes depending on which part of the shoe that you're looking at. I also really like the way that the sculpting of this shoe and the placement of the punch outs mirrors a lot of other YEEZY sneakers. For example, if you look at the heel of the shoe, these two punch outs are very similar to what you find on the YEEZY 700s, which I think was definitely intentional. You've also got the Adidas 3 stripe sort of hidden along the midfoot, which is also found on the YEEZY 700s. And then on the toe, you've got, well, sort of a grill pattern, which I don't think comes from anything, but it looks good. Something else that I wasn't sure about with this shoe when I first got it was sort of how this dome-like midfoot area would feel, and the fact that there might be a little bit more room above the foot than I would like. But I'm happy to report that the midfoot dome area of the shoe doesn't change the feel of the sneaker. It doesn't get in the way, it doesn't cause any problems. Yes, it looks very unique. There's not many shoes that kind of bump up like this in the midfoot, but comfort-wise, it feels great. Also, I've got to say that the ankle opening of this shoe is incredibly wide, so it makes it very, very easy to get your foot in and out of the shoe. This doesn't look great, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna do that anymore, but you get the idea. Now, if I had to pick between grabbing this pair, the MXT Moon Gray colorway, or the Sand colorway, which is releasing on the exact same day, I would definitely go for the MXT Moon Grays, and the reason for that isn't because of how it looks, it's because I already have the Ararat colorway, which looks very similar to the Sand colorway. And as much as I love this MXT Moon Gray colorway because of the craziness, I really think that the Ararat and the Sand colorways are much more wearable. Okay, I mean, you're gonna get stared at no matter which pair you're wearing, but the Ararat colorway is a lot easier to match with things because it's one solid color. The MXT Moon Gray colorway versus the Sands or the Ararats really has to be like the focal piece of whatever you're wearing because of how just bright and out there that it is. You know, I wouldn't actually mind an all gray colorway of these. That would be pretty sick. One thing I really love about this colorway are all the different designs and patterns that you get in this marbled texture or this marbled color. I just love how unique it is. And of course, no two pairs are gonna be the same. Obviously the colorways will look similar, but not every colorway will have this little swirl that you have on my pair. I also really like the way that they put the dark gray portion of this shoe on the toe and then the sort of cream or light tan color on the heel, and the way that they sort of mix together in the midfoot and sort of sweep up towards the top of the shoe on the heel. I think that's a really nice look, and it gives the shoe a lot of movement and a lot of motion. But now let's move inside the foam runners and talk about this dimpled texture that you have all the way around the inside of the shoe. So at first when I saw this shoe, I thought that you'd really feel that dimpled texture all the way around your foot, the same way that you feel like dimpled insoles. But what I found out is that when you're actually wearing the shoe, it all kind of compresses, and what it really does is hold your foot in place, especially when you're wearing socks. Speaking of socks though, I will say that you probably should wear a pair of socks that go up to at least where the top of the shoe is, because if you don't, the shoe is gonna rub underneath your ankles. I wore this shoe on the beach a couple times, and man, I had blisters all on the bottom of my ankles. And also maybe that was just me. Maybe I have very sensitive ankles, or maybe my feet didn't fit in this ankle area exactly right. I don't know what the reason was, but that was my experience, and I would just suggest wearing socks. As far as sizing and fit for the Adidas YEEZY foam runners, finding your size is not gonna be the easiest if you're half size, because this shoe only comes in whole sizes like 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm a size 9, so I usually go with size 9s when it comes to YEEZY foam runners, and I would suggest if you are a whole size, go with your whole size. The fit of this shoe is pretty similar to a 350 V2. However, if you are a half size, I would suggest going up rather than going down, because going down, you're gonna get a little bit more rubbing around the ankle, and you're not gonna have as much give in the shoe. If you go up a half size, you might have a little bit of room around the ankle or the toe, but it's a really good feel. It kind of molds around your foot the more that you wear it, so it shouldn't be an issue. Obviously, for this review, I did squeeze my foot into a size 8, and sure, it worked. It was a little bit tight. It wasn't the most comfortable thing in the world, but if you really have to, you could go down a half size, or whole size in my case. I wouldn't suggest it, but you can do it, which is definitely a good thing because there is no lacing system or size adjustment on this shoe whatsoever. So the size that you get is gonna stay pretty much exactly the same as when you bought it. And kind of a weird note about this shoe, one of the things that I love about it is that if it gets dirty, you can literally take it outside and just hose it off because it's all foam. It's not gonna be an issue. You don't even have to throw the shoe in the wash or even use Reshoevn-Ator if you don't want to. So not only is this shoe durable, it's also incredibly easy to keep clean. But finally, moving to the bottom of the shoe, you've got your sort of herringbone traction pattern, as well as your very Yeezy-esque sort of punch outs to, well, not really to anything, it's still just to kind of foam, it's just stylistic. And then if you look very closely at the heel punch out, you've actually got the Adidas logo debossed into the foam. And that's actually the only place that I can see the Adidas logo on the entire sneaker. I'm pretty sure these punch outs, at least the one on the heel, does perform a function though. And that's because when you actually step down in the foam, especially in the heel, it gives you a little bit of air cushion underneath your foot because the foam kind of has to compress and expand in that area. So because the foam is a little bit thinner there, it's a little bit softer. That's interesting. This shoe is incredible. I can't get over it. So overall, the Adidas Yeezy Foam Runner MXT Moon Gray is more of the same. In my opinion, that's a great thing. I love the original Foam Runner. I love the way that the shoe looks. I think this colorway is just even more insane than the original colorway. However, the one difference does seem to be the place that this shoe was manufactured. This new colorway is made in China. The original colorway is made in the USA. And because of that, I'm not sure if they use the exact same materials in the shoe. Now, that wouldn't make me not buy the shoe. I still think it's an incredible sneaker. I think the design looks great. The function of this shoe is incredible, even with like this little punch out in the bottom of the shoe. I love the way that they made that. But I don't know if we'll ever know if there's really a difference between the Chinese manufactured version and the USA manufactured version, or even if the Chinese version has the same materials as the USA version. If you have not yet tried a pair of the Adidas Yeezy Foam Runners, even if you don't like the way that this sneaker looks, I'd say go for it. It really is an incredible feeling shoe on your foot, and I think it's one of those shoes that even if you think it's ugly now, maybe when you see it on foot, or maybe when you see it on your own foot, you'll grow to love it. It's a crazy sneaker, and it's one of the most interesting shoes I've seen in the studio in a very long time. But of course, at this point in the video, I would love to know your thoughts on the Adidas Yeezy Foam Runner, and specifically the MXT Moon Gray colorway, and whether you're trying to grab a pair of these when they drop on March 26th. So make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.